I still remember the very first day when I actually got my license to become a nurse, and I was walking through the halls of a medical center in Sacramento, and I heard this patient say, "Nurse, nurse," and I'm looking up and down the hall for the nurse and realized that's me.
When I was a little girl, I always kept a diary, and all my life have kept a journal. And I found a diary just recently when I was in 5th grade, and in that diary it said, "When I grow up, I want to be a nurse," or ... I never finished it, so I thought I always knew that I was going to be a nurse.
I was in the hospital when I was 15 years old, and they were giving me some tests to see why I was always having stomach aches. And the nurse came in and took my temperature, and I thought, wow, that looks like fun.
Well, I decided to become a nurse because I heard a midwife interviewed on National Public Radio, and it was just like one of those cartoons you see where the light bulb goes on above the head, you know. It just felt like that.
I read every Cherry Ames student nurse series at the same time everybody else was reading Nancy Drew, you know. I'm a nurse.
I searched for a long time, and I wanted to give my life to something that mattered. And helping people mattered to me. So I decided to become a registered nurse.
And when I was in high school, I would have never thought that I would be a nurse. It was nothing. It wasn't even on my list of options. And I think for a guy, if you have a passion to get into someone's life and make a difference, nursing is the way to go.
The bond that nurses have with their patients is very special. They're being very vulnerable with us. They place their trust in us.
Patients are nervous when they come in. They're scared. They don't know what's going on. They don't understand always what the doctor's saying, and we can be the ones that can clarify and hold their hand.
You're the glue between the patient and the doctor. Everything else that goes on in the hospital goes through the nurse. And that was really gratifying to me to know that the families trusted me. And it wasn't unusual sometimes for a doctor to leave the room and for the patient or the family member to say, "What do you think?"
You're the one with them day in, day out. You're the one walking them to the bathroom. You're the one helping them feel better.
Sometimes when you live in the same town, you see these people out and they see you in the store, they'll run up to you and hug you. "Oh, it's Nurse Judy, how are you? It's so good to see you." And they'll start telling you all about their family, you know. My daughter just had her baby, and like, we're part of the family. And I like that part. I like being part of their family.
Sometimes it's hard to recognize them if they don't have their blue gown on. You're used to seeing them in the hospital, you know, their hair's a mess.
Yeah, our favorite thing is to say to them, "You look so good with clothes on."
And the thing that I like best is I can help people become better versions of themselves even when they're sick. And I like that. And it makes me a better version of myself too.
I'm really proud of being a nurse, and I would say the most fulfilling part of it are the small moments that we don't really talk about, you know. I'm getting choked up just talking about it, but, you know, being present when people die.
The most traumatic experience for me as a nurse, I was working in the orthopedic unit, and I had to go down to recovery room to pick up my patient. And I went in the recovery room, and the staff was looking really somber. And I said, "What happened?" And they pointed to a gurney, and they said, "We lost a 5-year-old on the operating table." And then I saw the parents standing over the body. And I will remember that the rest of my life, because now I'm a mother.
Probably my most difficult day was not too long ago. It was about 6 months ago. And I had a patient who came in. He was 32 years old, and he had just been diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. And I walked in the room one day to give him his medicine, and he asked me, he said, "How do I tell my kids I'm about to die?" The children had lost their mother less than a year ago, so it was really difficult when a man asks you, "How do I tell my kids I'm gonna die?" And he did die about 3 months later. And you give a piece of yourself to your patients when you take care of them. You know, you're there. You hear them. You know what they're going through. And if you have any kind of heart, you can't separate yourself from that. It is that. And I will always have that piece of him with me just from that experience.
I think everybody that enters this field does it because they want to help people. They want to make a difference. They want to have a job where they can go home at the end of the day, lay their head down on the pillow knowing that they've touched someone else's life in a really positive way.
In critical care, we're not just helping people to have a smooth death, but we're helping people to life too.
Florence Nightingale knew that the body is an amazing, incredible healing machine, and if it's given the tools that it needs, the proper food, the proper nutrition, the proper rest, it will heal.
We know that 75% of those chronic degenerative diseases can be prevented through a healthy lifestyle, through good nutrition, exercise, managing our stress, getting adequate sleep, and good hydration. And so it's what we do on a day-to-day basis that is going to keep us healthy and vibrant, you know, into our later years. And that's what I want for the people I love.
If a young person today asked me about getting into nursing, I would say do it. Hands down, no argument, don't think twice and don't waste time.
You are entering the best profession there is. We need nurses, and we're going to need more nurses in years to come.
It's one of the noblest, most fun, most engaging, most valuable, coolest things to do on the planet.
There's a lot of heartache in nursing, there's a lot of tragedy in nursing, and usually the people who can deal with that do. But there is also a lot of joy in nursing.
And it's especially gratifying when you see somebody coming back who's had 3 or 4 miscarriages, and now they're full term and they're here to deliver their baby for the first time. They're finally gonna have a baby. And when that baby delivers, the whole room cries. It's really great, you know. So then you say, oh, this is why I do what I do.
Besides being a registered nurse, I am a comic, and I play different clubs. And I have a lot of really great audiences and make people laugh. But this one patient that I had, he had tubes in every place, and IVs, and very sick in the ICU. And I started to joke with him one day. And I topped it all off with a pretty great moonwalk. And he laughed so hard. I think that was the most gratifying audience that I've had.
And I suppose one of the things that I really liked as a school nurse was I was able to give those children the love and the hugs that many of them never, ever got. I had children that slept on the dirt in their home and didn't eat at home. And for someone to come and just say, you know, I just love you, that just meant so much to them.
If you really think about why patients are in the hospital, it's really for nursing care, because everything else that's offered can be offered outside of a hospital. It really is, you know, when no one else is there and everyone else goes to sleep and everyone else leaves, who's left? We're left. We're there at night taking care of them, making sure they're safe.
There was a child who had drowned in the family swimming pool, and the medics brought her in their arms, gave the child to me, and I ran into the ER. We helped warm up the child, and she was not breathing, was unconscious, and she was gone. Heart had stopped, which is gone. And I knew the mother was there by virtue of the sound that I heard coming up this hallway, this huge, plaintive, deep wail of a scream, as I imagined that someone had told her that her child had passed away. And we're feverishly working on this child. And they had brought the mother in. She was standing at the bedside. And we could feel her just holding her breath. And we knew the mother was going to lose it even more. And all of a sudden, that baby, as we were intervening, she woke up, looked at her mom and said, "Mama." And to know that it had changed from being a horrible trauma for the rest of their lives to with that child being alive again, it just was very gratifying, doing all the things that we've been taught how to do.
My mom's super proud of me as a nurse. She is now retired from nursing, but when she first introduces me, that's the first thing she always says. This is my daughter, Rhonda. She's a nurse.